And President Trump is set to host the President of Syria, Ahmed Al-Sharaa, on Monday. Joining us now is Brandon Weichert. He's a geopolitical strategist and author of The Shadow War, Iran's Quest for Supremacy. Brandon, great to see you. I'm going to always remember you as the contrarian who came on this very show and correctly predicted Operation Midnight Hammer. That, of course, was the surprise strike on Iran's Fordow nuclear facility. And staying with predictions, Reuters is citing 6 anonymous sources that state the U.S. will establish a new military base in southern Syria. Syrian officials are denying it to Reuters. What are you hearing?
It's probably going to happen. This is why Trump is playing footsie with a guy like, well, he's called Al-Sharaa now, but I'll always remember him as Al-Jilani. And the reason I remember him that way is because he has the blood of many of our fellow Americans on his hands. He was an Al-Qaeda in Iraq commander. He killed many U.S. forces during the war. He was himself an ISIS-type prisoner at Camp Bucca that Obama released when we pulled out of Iraq, and he became a battlefield commander of Al-Qaeda in Syria. So he now calls himself Sharaa. They're giving him the Arafat treatment, where now the terrorist dons a suit, and now suddenly we're supposed to love this guy. But the reason that Trump is doing this is because he's trying to get a base, and he's trying to push the Russians, the old Ruskies. He's trying to push them out of Syria in order to, solidify U.S. power in the region. Personally, though, I think this is a mistake. I think we should have droned Gilani a long time ago.
Politics indeed does make strange bedfellows. What are the risks of potentially working with him, do you think?
Well, right now he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him too hard. And to be clear, he is an asset of Turkey first. Israel has made peace with him, and they're working nominally because they want to have that air corridor open to their warplanes to fly over Syria and hit Iran at will. And we, of course, again, he's going to work with us because what's happening right now is there's a move by Turkey, Israel, and the U.S. to reshape energy and trade flows in the Eurasian Middle East corridor through Azerbaijan. It's called Zangezur Corridor. We're trying to move oil, natural gas, and trade resources away from Chinese-dominated Belt and Road trading regions into ones that are dominated by us. One of those exit points for the Zangezur Corridor goes out to Syria, and this is why Turkey's heavily involved, because they want natural gas flowing into Europe via Turkey, where they can charge money for that. So this is why we're working with Gilani. And of course, Gilani wants to be the big guy in Syria. So for now, he's going to play nice with us, but we cannot trust this man.
Considering the tenuous nature of that, what are we gaining and what are we potentially losing by working with Syria in this fashion?
Well, we're gaining the possibility of being able to basically keep the Middle East on our team, if you will, in the great competition with China and to a lesser degree with Russia. Of course, what we're losing is, you would say, a sense of justice. Again, Sharaa, but Gilani is what he was known as for years. Gilani killed scores of Americans. He is unrepentant about that. He's actually very proud of that. He used that as a calling card to help give him more credibility. He's currently slaughtering the Christians, the Alawites. He's threatening to slaughter the Kurds of Syria. He himself is a Sunni. He's a Sunni supremacist. So what we're losing is a sense of justice and a sense of dignity in Syria. But what we're gaining is the prospects that we will have a partner on the ground who will look the other way while we push trade and energy flows into Europe via Syria.
Yeah, certainly when you look at the justification for cozying up to the CCP 25 years ago, none of it came to fruition. Do you feel that there are similar risks here? Can you go a little deeper on those various factions and ethnicities within Syria?
Well, for starters, Jelani, like I said, is initiating an ethnic cleansing campaign against the Alawites, which was the group that the former leader of Syria, Assad, belonged to. He's initiating them against the Christians, against the Druze. The Israelis are backing the Druze, so the Druze are probably going to be okay right now. And then, of course, he's trying to kill the Kurds of eastern Syria, who we are aligned with. And so what that risks doing is destabilizing the country, because right now it seems like Jelani has a tenuous hold on power, and these other factions are obviously going to defend themselves. So you have the problem of instability in Syria still reigning. Then you have the issue of what's going to happen if he does kill all of these people. Are we just going to stand by and keep supporting him? How will that play out in the Congress in Washington, D.C.? I don't really know, but I can tell you right now that this is not a stable situation, and Jelani does not have a full grip on this, which is why also he's turning to Trump, because he's hoping the Americans can help him stabilize it. Also, we're trying to push the Russians out of their naval base in Syria, which they've had since the 70s, and we want to get our own base there. I, too, think that's a mistake, though, because I want us getting out of the Middle East and focusing on the Indo-Pacific and focusing on our own hemisphere. This does not help that situation. So the upside is we're switching energy flows possibly and trading flows, which would damage the CCP in the long run. The downside is it seems like we're going to be ensnared for much longer in this region, being led around by a head-chopping jihadist. So I'm not really, it's very disconcerting to me. And you're right, it could turn out like the deal with China, where we end up empowering the caliphate, and the caliphate is explicitly anti-American. So that is a very dangerous scenario.
Yeah, and if you look over at Afghanistan and all the attempts that many different countries, both Russian and American, tried there, it never quite worked out and ended up being, as you said, sort of a hotbed for training the caliphate-type fighters. But I want to understand your view on if Trump can sort of, through this meeting, sort of read him the riot act off camera and get him to fall in line for what is his long-term interests? Or do you just feel like sort of, tiger doesn't change its stripes?
Tiger doesn't change its stripes, but ultimately the key thing here is Turkey, because more than anything, Jelani or Sharaa and his group are a client of Turkey, and Turkey is making some major, massive moves right now in the region. I did hear a report that the current president, Erdogan of Turkey, has pancreatic cancer, which means there could be a major shift occurring in the Turkish leadership. But until that happens, it looks like Turkey is going to be a major player in the region, and Jelani is their pawn. So we're actually, more than anything, working with Turkey, because Trump has this weird affection with Erdogan to kind of take greater control over the region. But the long term could be that, this cat's going to bite the hand that feeds him eventually. This guy reminds me a lot of, like I said, Arafat. He reminds me of Castro in a way in the 60s. He also reminds me a bit of bin Laden. This guy is a very serious terrorist. He is Al-Qaeda. He's Al-Nusra Front, which was Al-Qaeda. This is a very, very dangerous guy. And on the 25th anniversary of 9/11 coming up next year, we're going to have a jihadist we're partnered with against China and Russia. It's very odd. It's a very odd thing.
Yeah, and while we're talking about dangerous terrorists, what are you seeing with Hamas? Are they ready to lay down their arms? Should we see Gaza start going into the next phase? It feels like no news has come out in the last week. What's developing?
Well, there have been a smattering of breaches of the ceasefire. I don't call it a peace treaty because it's not. It's a ceasefire. But so far at the larger level, it has held together. There have been, like I said, some incidents, but it does seem like the Hamas group needs or wants to do a deal. In fact, I heard about a week ago that the leadership in Hamas was telling Trump that if he got involved directly as an intermediary, they would be willing to disarm their long-range weapons, the weapons they use to shoot into Israel. And this is because, look, the Israelis they subjected Hamas to a lot of damage, but also Iran has been cut off from funding Hamas the way they used to. That was Hamas's lifeline. The Russians aren't going to backfill that. The Chinese certainly aren't. So Hamas is now isolated, and they're looking for a way to turn defeat into victory. And I think they're looking to take the Sinn Féin route in Ireland. They're looking to take a more political route. And so they are willing to disarm, which is great. And I hope that we're able to get them to do that.
And Brandon, just in our last 30 seconds as we finish up, to kind of come full circle, Syria, Hungary, Turkey, all sort of ways to get to Russia. But Russia reportedly sent a big cargo plane to Iran. What's happening?
Yeah, Russia is plying Iran, Venezuela as well with a lot of heavy weapons to deter us. But more than anything, this is a signal they're sending. They're willing to trade Iran and or Venezuela for Ukraine. The problem is nobody in D.C. is listening. They're freaking out. This is a play. They're playing us. They're saying, hey, we're going to keep doing this to you guys until you get out of Ukraine. All we have to do is end the Ukraine war, and this stops with Iran and Venezuela. I don't think anybody's listening in D.C., though.
It's more than a chessboard. It's sort of, it's a three-dimensional situation. It's a sphere that we're dealing with. Always appreciate your analysis. The Oracle, I'll call you, Brandon Weichert. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.